While the Champions League understandably takes the headlines this midweek in European football, we've got a full complement of Europa League fixtures on Thursday night. Let's dive in with the 5 main matches, the 5 big games that I'm looking forward to this Thursday night in the Europa League. And we're going to start with one of the early kickoffs where Midtjylland of Denmark are taking on Celtic of Scotland. Of course, Celtic under new management now. Martin O'Neill is in charge and they're hoping for an uptick in form in the Europa League. It's not been good so far at all for Celtic in the Europa League. Although they did manage to get a victory last time out against Sturm Graz, although Sturm Graz are a pretty poor side in the Europa League this time around. Midtjylland, though, are not a poor side by any stretch of the imagination. They have won all 3 of their games so far, and they currently sit at the top of the Europa League table. So even with new management in charge, I do think this is going to be a really difficult game for Celtic. And honestly, there's no disgrace in losing to Midtjylland, who've already claimed scalps like Nottingham Forest in the competition so far. So I think Midtjylland will win. I think that Celtic will give a good account of themselves, but it's not quite going to be enough. I'm going to go over 2-1 victory to the Great Danes in this game. Another early kickoff is that between Sturm Graz and Nottingham Forest, 2 sides that I mentioned before. Forest, of course, they won last time against Porto. Sean Dyche in his Europa League debut, Europa League proper that is, of course. Burnley were qualifying for the competition back in the day. I think they went out to Olympiacos if memory serves me, but he's never been in this stage of the European competitions before, and he managed to win against a very experienced European side in FC Porto. Sturm Graz, meanwhile, though, they're struggling. They are not doing particularly well. They've lost against Celtic. They only managed to get a win against Rangers. And let's be real here, guys. Everybody wins against Rangers in Europe. So that's not really saying anything. Forest, I think they're going to have enough to overcome Sturm Graz. They'll probably rotate their side a bit, but I think the quality of their team overall is enough to be able to get another European victory. So I'm going to go over 2-0 victory to the Tricky Trees. Now let's go to the totally not controversial clash between Aston Villa and Maccabi Tel Aviv. This one definitely hasn't caused controversy, and I have definitely not done a video on it already. Check that out if you haven't already, guys. But the long and short of it is there will be no away fans for this one because the police cannot guarantee their safety, which has caused a massive amount of fallout here in the UK and beyond. But let's focus on the football here. Maccabi Tel Aviv suck. Aston Villa are good, so I'm going to go with Villa to win this one, unsurprisingly. Of course, Villa did lose last time out to the Go Ahead Eagles, a team that sound more like an invitational basketball side than a football side, but fair play to them. They managed to beat Villa fair and square in the end. But I think Villa are a cut above Tel Aviv, to say the very least. I think they'll absolutely batter them. I'm going to go with a high 5 here, 5-0 to the Villains. That is one of the late kickoffs on Thursday night, an 8 p.m. kickoff. Another 8 p.m. kickoff will take place between Rangers and Roma. Now, Roma are flying in Serie A. They're up near the top of the table. Rangers, they're looking a bit better under Danny Roll, you know, baby steps, although they did lose to a breakfast cereal 3-0 last time in Europa League. But I do think that Roll has had more time now to implement his ideas, and I do think that Rangers will give a better account of themselves, but they're still going to lose. They're still going to lose this one for me, 100%. Roma, in fairness, have struggled in the Europa League. They've only had 1 victory from their opening 3 games. They'll be desperate to get a victory in this one, and I think they will. I think they just got too much quality for Rangers, simple as that. Even though this is at Ibrox, I think the Romans will very much conquer the Caledonians on this one. So I'm going to go with Roma to win 3-1 in this game. And the last game I'm going to highlight, no British sides involved in this one. We've got Real Betis against Olympique Lyon. Lyon are one of just 3 sides in the Europa League so far to be absolutely perfect, alongside Braga and Midtjylland. Betis, meanwhile, though, they've been a bit hit and miss. I mean, 2 draws and a win to their name. They are unbeaten. They're on the lower half of the playoff parts of the table. They'll be hoping to get a bit higher up there. Will the Conference League runners-up from last season? Lyon are absolutely flying, though, in fairness, and they're also doing pretty well in Ligue 1 as well. You know, they're up there near the top of the table over in France. So I think that overall, these 2 sides are probably going to cancel each other out. I know another draw for Betis, but I think that Lyon's perfect start will end here. I'm going to go with a Desmond scoreline here, 2-2 between these 2 teams. I think Lyon have got slightly more quality, but Betis being at home, albeit not being at their proper home, but being in Spain, I think that will be the deciding factor there in making this a draw. But yeah, those are my thoughts ahead of Europa League Matchday 4, guys. The halfway point of the season is coming up. for Europe's secondary competition. But you give me your thoughts on all these in the comments below, guys. What do you think about my predictions? I want to hear what you have to say either way on that one. Like, share, comment, subscribe. As always, guys, have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world today, and we'll see you very soon.